and welcome to Rathod's IAS Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 18 February 2025. So actually there are very less number of articles which are relevant from our examination point of view, which appeared in our today's newspaper. And even in our editorial also, almost all the topics that we had discussed in our earlier classes were there. So I'll be showing with you the proof, like when you are going to be perfect in this Hindu means whenever you are expecting what is going to come in the today's from this today's newspaper, what will be there in your tomorrow's newspaper. So whenever you are connecting the articles, whenever you are guessing what will be there in your editorial, then you can say that yes, you are in a right way of reading current affairs. So I will be guessing some topics from the newspaper and I will be telling you, yes, this may come in editorial, then you can analyze in that way. So from now onwards, we are going to start that exercise as well. So now let us see the first article. So first article is Gnanish Kumar named CEC after panel meeting. So have you seen this word CEC in your syllabus? For sure you will be seeing. So in which subject? That is coming under your polity. So CEC is nothing but Chief Election Commissioner. So it is part of your syllabus in polity GS paper 2. So if you open your book Lakshmikant, which is Bible of your polity, you will be having this topics called as constitutional bodies and non-constitutional bodies. So in that topic of constitutional bodies, you will be reading about this Election Commission of India. So in this Election Commission of India, if you are studying about members, so who are the members? We have Chief Election Commissioner and we have other election commissioners. So now, why it is a news? So from long time onwards, there is pending in this appointment of election commissioners. So finally, here how many elections commissioner will be there? 2, right? 2 election commissioners will be there and 1 chief election commissioner will be there in this Election Commission of India. So now what happened? So in these 2 members, so 1 member became CEC. So there is vacant for 1 post and 1 more person fill this election commissioner post now. So because of this is a news and now it is the first article of your day. So if you say this article, so in this summary itself they said that former IAS officer who is serving as election commissioner, he is going to assume office tomorrow. That means he will become chief election commissioner and 1 more person from Haryana, that is Vivek Joshi, appointed as election commissioner. So 1 person from election commissioner he promoted to chief election commissioner and in that vacant post, so 1 person is going to occupy that vacant post of election commissioner. So if you are an intelligent so-called, if you are preparing for UPSC seriously, then you have to focus on this chief election commissioner and as well as election commissioner. So what are the eligibility criteria for these 2 persons? Like chief election commissioner criteria and as well as election commissioner criteria. And you have to see whether if any person who appointed as the CEC, that is chief election commissioner, whether he is eligible for reappointment or not. So what about election commissioner, whether they are eligible for reappointment or not. So all those things which are given clearly in your Lakshmikant book, so where you will be getting a lot of times you will be getting confused there. So UPSC will be asking questions on the area where there is a chance of students getting confused. So if you're strong in that areas, obviously the paper will be in your hand. Okay. So you have to see detailedly about chief election commissioner and election commissioner. And if you are writing your 2025 prelims, so please keep star mark for that topic in your Lakshmikant. And if possible, even highlight that chief election commissioner, election commissioner, 100% there will be a question regarding this. Okay. So now let us see some basic points that you have to remember. So as I said in the context that election commissioner Gnanish Kumar has been appointed as chief election commissioner. So what is appointment process? Who will be appointing? So normally the CEC and ECs, they will be appointed by president of our country based on a selection committee. So you may get a question on this selection committee also. Like consider the following statements regarding selection committee of election commissioners and they give who are the members. So who are the members of the selection committee? So we have Prime Minister and we have Union Cabinet Minister and we have leader of opposition, or if there is no leader of opposition, so we have leader of largest opposition party in Lok Sabha. Now this year we have leader of opposition in Lok Sabha. And here what are the recommendations of the selection committee? So selection committee will be giving a list of the people who are eligible for that post. Okay, if there are any posts which are vacant, so selection committee will be given recommendations, and this selection committee is headed by normally cabinet secretary, and they will be giving the list of the suitable candidates for that post. And next important point here is what are the constitutional provisions. That means nothing but articles which are present in your constitution related to this election commission, and as well as CEC and as well as EC. So we have just 5 articles, that is article 324 to article 329. So if you have a question like, is that necessary for remembering of all articles, means no, not at all. So only the things which are there in current affairs, if you are remembering that relevant articles, it is more than enough. And regarding the selection commission, we have only 5 articles and you have to remember for sure. And whenever you are writing any mains question regarding the selection commission in polity, so keep this thumb rule in your mind that you have to start your answer by writing articles. So if in case there is no article, you can start with Supreme Court judgments, or you can write about any part of constitution where they are located. So like that you have to start with something related to that present in our constitution, so that it will be a very good introduction. So which are the articles and which part is it? It is part 15 and 324 to 329. Even you have to remember these parts as well. So based on the parts, earlier there was questions in UPSC prelims. And this constitution does not lay any specific process for appointment of CEC and EC. So in polity, you have to be very careful with this. Does not. So if does not is there, UPSC will be playing with this. UPSC can say in a statement that yes, constitution laid down a specific process, but constitution do not lay down any specific process. So in this way they will give ulta palta statements in your prelims, and you have to be very careful, especially regarding polity. And this one is article 324 of the constitution. What it says about superintendence, direction, control of elections. By whom? That is Election Commission of India. Regarding elections for whom? So we have Election Commission of India and we have State Election Commission. At central level we have Election Commission of India. At the state level we have State Election Commission. But their roles and responsibilities is entirely different. State Election Commission will be conducting elections for only panchayats and as well as municipalities. But this Election Commission of India, it will be conducting elections for President, Prime Minister, and also Lok Sabha members and Rajya Sabha members. Only for local bodies we have is EC. So you have to remember that. And next important point here is our president will make appointment on advice of whom? Union Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Okay, so that is the thing. And let us see the next article. So here you can see one image of a tiger. So whenever you are seeing any species in news, or any national park, or any biosphere reserve, or any tiger reserve, elephant reserve, everything, it will be very important from environment and ecology. So I want to give you a tip. So environment and ecology, statically, if you see the syllabus, it is very less. So just 1 week of time you can do with static syllabus, even with your NCERT. So there is only one NCERT, that to 12th class biology. Last 3 chapters are related to your environment and ecology. If you do that, and if you are doing your class notes, it is more than enough to cover your static. But the vast portion is you have to cover current affairs. So here every year you will be getting 17 to 21 questions for sure in your prelims. So if you are preparing this subject wisely, then you can do at least 15 to 17 of that 21 questions. So that is nothing but whenever you are seeing this kind of species or this kind of names, try to note it down for 1 year. And if you go on revising them, then you can easily get on like 18 questions for sure from 21 questions from environment and ecology. It is a good chunk, and even it will take less time for remembering also. So here title says Parambiculam Reserve adds 15 new species to its biodiversity checklist. And the keyword here is biodiversity. You have a separate chapter on this biodiversity as well. So the keyword that you have to note down from this article is biodiversity. So this topic is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So from static syllabus, what you have to read? You have to see what is the meaning of biodiversity. Bio means nothing but life. Diversity is nothing but difference. So there is a different life forms which are present on our earth is called as biodiversity. And next you have to see types of biodiversity. So how many types we have? 3 types. Alpha biodiversity, beta and as well as gamma. So you have to see what is this alpha, beta and gamma. And you have to see about what are the threats to our biodiversity. For example, we are going for mining, illegal constructions, developmental projects. We are going for widening of roads. So whenever we are going for widening of roads, obviously what are the trees which are coming in between, they will be removed. And next one here is illegal poaching of animals, killing animals for their body parts like skin, like nails, like tusk, etc. And next one here is killing of animals for consumption. Okay, so all these are the threats, and even illegal trafficking of animals and animal parts is also an important problem that we are having. And next you have to see about how government is taking some measures to protect biodiversity. For example, you are having different projects like Project Tiger, Project Rhino, Project Elephants. Like that, what are the projects which are taken? And even recently, one report which is saying that because of using of AI, yesterday's class itself I discussed, because of using of AI, that led to decreasing of poaching in some animals, especially it is generating some camera reports and it is directly sending to the officers so that they are tracking and they are catching this illegal poachers. So like that you have to see the new advancement is using of AI, how we can use AI. And next you have to see what is a way forward. So what can other steps that you can suggest to Government of India so that you can save biodiversity? So all these things if you read and if you make a note, then if there is any question regarding biodiversity, you can write answer within 150 to 250 words along with examples and case studies. Okay, so now if you see this article, here this is also very important, Parambiculam Reserve. And what is animal that you can see? Tiger. So you have to refer about what is this Project Tiger also here. Okay, so in this way, from multi-dimensional point of view, you have to think. You should not focus on only one thing. You should not be a narrow-minded person at all. So whenever you decided to become an UPSC achiever, then on that time itself, you have to think in the multi-dimension. You should become like a broad thinker, not a narrow thinker. So now let us see this article. So if you see this, it is saying that faunal survey. So whenever you're studying about biodiversity, you will come across two words, flora and fauna. Flora is nothing but related to plants. Fauna is related to animals. So here it is talking about animals. So it is saying that a faunal survey by this forest department, where they are doing in this Parambiculam Tiger Reserve. And where is this is located? It is in Kerala. So by names itself, sometimes you can expect to which state it belongs to, especially Kulam, Lam. Lam is the last word we can see or we can guess that it is from Kerala. If it is AI, last at AI, so most of that national parks are located in Tamil Nadu state. And especially if you see in India, so normally northeast and south part, we are having more number of national parks and important reserves. So you will get question from this area. So if you see the previous question, till 2022, every year there was a question in the paper regarding some national park or some tiger reserve which is in news. And it is a very simple question. So, and so national park is located in which of the following state? They'll give A, B, C, D And to make you confused, if it is from northeast, they give all northeast state only, so that you can't eliminate any one of them. And mostly many will be present in Arunachal Pradesh. So if you know this, if you blindly keep Arunachal Pradesh also, it will be right. Okay, like that, you have to see about Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu most, and you have to be very much clear about which are the national parks, tiger reserves, which are the rivers which are present there, and even northeast. In northeast, especially focus on national parks and reserve which is present around this river Brahmaputra and its tributaries. So there will be a chance of getting questions more. Okay, and if you see some facts regarding this Parambikulam Tiger Reserve, as I said, it is located in state of Kerala, and this area had been declared as Tiger Reserve in year 2009 under Project Tiger. So you have to know about this Project Tiger for sure. And which are the rivers they are flowing in this? So there are three major rivers: Parambikulam, next one is Solayar and Tekkade rivers. And you can see about this flora and fauna. So normally in this area we have deciduous, evergreen and as well as semi-evergreen forest. So if you see, one more important tip I want to give you. In geography, you will be having this topic called as natural vegetation. In that natural vegetation, you will be studying about different types of forest, like evergreen, tropical deciduous, tropical temperate forest, deserts, etc., tundra, like that. Every year there will be a question from natural vegetation for sure. So you have to be prepared. So because it is the combination of both your environment and as well as geography, so where there is a combination of these two areas, there is a high chance of getting question. And every year there will be a question regarding natural vegetation. If you want, you can go to the previous questions and you can check it. So this year also you can expect a question regarding natural vegetation. Okay, and you can see about this fauna, no problem with that. And see the next article. High levels of microbes found in river water at Kumbh, says CPCB report. So what is happening in this UP? Biggest event, that is Mahakumbh Mela. So after 144 years in our astronomy, they will believe that Jupiter will be coming and aligning in the same position. Okay, straight line. Many planets, they will be appearing in the same line after this 144 year. So because of this, we are celebrating this as Mahakumbh Mela. So this is a very significant and important event. So normally we have different types of melas. Like Kumbh Mela we have, like Ardha Kumbh Mela. So Kumbh Mela will be done once in every 12 years. And we have Ardha Kumbh Mela which is done in 6 years. That means 12 half, 6 years. So you have to see about important rivers where this Kumbh Mela is celebrated. We have 4 rivers and we have 4 places. So you have to see that where there is a chance of getting question. And students who are writing this year 2025, you will be getting question regarding this Kumbh Mela for sure. Okay, so you have to prepare this very well. And even there will be a question regarding stampede also in your GS paper 4 regarding this Kumbh Mela, because stampede happened in one of the event. And next one is stampede happened at this Delhi railway station because of this Kumbh Mela. So like that, there will be a situation like if you are an administrator or if you are a DC, so what are the steps that you are going to take to control this stampede? And recently there was one editorial which said like how we can control stampede scientifically, like per square kilometer, so how many people should be there so that we can prevent the stampede, and we should have multiple exit and multiple entry gates. So like that, try to collect some practical things that you can do so that you can control the stampede. Okay, so this topic, it is important from your governance, it is important from your ethics, it is important from your history, that is art and culture also. So just see about some facts regarding this Mahakumbh. Already many a times we discussed that, and even you have to see like how this UP managing this Mahakumbh Mela. So one important step that they took was like they declared this area as a separate district also for the proper maintenance. And you have to see about trains, how they are managing the trains, and as well as how they are managing the people here. And finally, so whenever large group of people are going and they are having the dip in that river, what happens? Obviously, there will be increasing of microbes. Okay, especially this report is saying that there is fecal coliform. That means if you're having any infection, obviously whenever you're going for this fecal excretion, in that obviously this particles will be there, right? So whenever this large group of people they are going and having in that dip, some people will go there itself in the water because they will be not having proper places. So because of this, human, not only human, this report is saying that there is also increasing of fecal coliform from animals also, from animals, from human excreta. So there is increasing of coliform. So now what is the concern? The concern here is the people they are going and having the dip there. Sometimes they will also mahatirtham, drinking that. What happens? Entry of microorganisms into the body and they will get infections. So again, it is a burden on the government, right? So if it is a communicable disease, already group of people gathering is happening, so there will be the very fast transmission of disease from one person to another person. Again, it is also a burden on the government. They have to go for again certain policy decisions. They have to implement certain uh, other equipments or other providing of certain medicines and everything. Again, it will be the burden on the government. So based on this report, at least government need to come up with some policy decisions so that people will be not having major dip in this region. Okay, so now let us see this article. So this article is saying that high levels of fecal coliform, that is nothing but microbes or microorganisms from human and as well as animal excreta, they are found in this river water. So in which people took holy dip during this Mahakumbh Mela in this Prayagraj. So this is a report which is given by NGT, so it is very authenticate. And it is by Central Pollution Control Board. So what are the concerns? So concerns here is because of that microbial levels, obviously it will be having environment impact. That means whatever the biodiversity which is present in that river will be also get affected, not only humans, right? And next one here is, next important point here is health risk. So because of this presence of this fecal coliform in this river water, it is also a serious public health concern, because in this event not only UP people are participating, even South people are participating, Northeast people are participating. So different parts of our countries are going and having this dip. That means if they go back to their states again, there is a chance of transmission of that disease in their state. So that will lead to entire public health emergency in our country. So if there is any new disease like COVID-19 which happens, means again it will be very dangerous for our country, our government, our economy, our everything, right? So this is the one major public health concern now, and that will lead to the waterborne diseases. And next one here is, this article is saying that yes, once when we get the report, we have to go for continuous monitoring of water quality. It is very, very important, so that we can shape the future policies and as well as practices regarding these religious gatherings. And this one here is, this article is saying that yes, sustainable practices are very, very important. Especially we have to go for proper waste management. Proper waste management is very important, especially in these religious congregations. So we need to ensure that clean bathing facilities are available in that area, and we have to suggest the people to go for bathing outside this river in some bathing ghats. Okay, so those things that are given here. And next article, see here. So this article is talking about Mela and Milli. So people's safety should be prioritized over football at Kumbh Mela. So this article is again talking about what are the events that led to disconvenience or inconvenience in the people. For example, what are the events that led to inconvenience? Suddenly cancellation of trains, that led to stampede. And not only that, even they restricted the movement of people. And next one here is one more thing. It is about stampede. And next one here is, even one day, on that day, so multiple people, like very huge gathering of people, they went for bathing ghats and their stampede happened. So stampede happened. And next one is people who are living under tents. There was sudden fire accident. In that fire accident, more than 100 tents they had been burned off. So it also created chaos. So like that, there are some disturbances which happened in this Mahakumbh Mela, and you have to know the series of events that are given here. And also gave some necessary measures that you have to take. So see these measures. Okay, so the measures they gave is government must be very much careful at the cost of fulfilling political aspirations not paid in the terms of human life. So they said that rather than if you are conducting any religious congregation, so first of all government need to be very much careful about how they are going to take care of that people. So safety, how they are providing, and how they are ensuring the sanitation, how they are ensuring basic amenities, everything is important. Okay, so first government need to take care of the proper measures and they have to start that. So here they should not cause this kind of religious congregation should not cause any human life death. So that is the thing they mainly said here. That's it, nothing more than that. And now let us see the next article. This article that we are talking from long period onwards, from last 2 weeks we are talking about this. So actually this article is talking about thermal power plants. Thermal power plants are nothing but they will use coal and they'll burn coal. So from that they will generate this electricity. That is called as thermal electricity. So we are generating electricity from coal. Coal, it is a good or bad? It is bad because it is non-renewable energy source. It is a fossil fuel. Whenever we are burning this carbon, it will release carbon dioxide emissions and as well as soot. That is nothing but particulate matter will be released into atmosphere. So because of this, it will cause lots of damage to our environment. That will lead to global warming. So actually, you know that we have Paris Climate Deal, okay? Paris Climate Agreement or Deal of 2015. What it says, we have to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and we have to reduce global warming by 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees centigrade when we are comparing with that of pre-industrial period. That is, when we are comparing with 1990s, we have to reduce this global warming by 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade. Okay, it's okay. Apart from that, even our Prime Minister announced that we are going to achieve net carbon emissions or carbon neutrality or net zero by 2070. So what is that carbon neutrality? Carbon neutrality is nothing but how much amount of carbon dioxide we are releasing into atmosphere is equal to how much amount of carbon dioxide we are absorbing from atmosphere. So it should be equal. But here, most of the time, whatever the electricity that we are using for lights or for anything, we are getting that from thermal. Thermal means nothing but we are producing it from coal. So the problem here is increasing of carbon dioxide emission. So how can we achieve this? Carbon dioxide release is equal to carbon dioxide absorbed. So here we have an alternate. So what is that route here? We have to shift towards renewable energy source. So what are these renewable energy sources? Example, solar energy we have. We have wind energy. We have geothermal energy. We have tidal energy. Like that, we have some examples. But even though we don't have proper technology and as well as we don't have proper resources or finances to move towards that. Even though India is doing good in the solar and wind, but we have other targets also. So actually the problem here is whenever we want to move towards renewable energy, so here already we have to decrease this coal usage. That means we have to reduce this energy that we are generating from this thermal power plants. So because of this now, thermal power plants or coal power industries, they are facing some challenges. So this article is talking about what challenges they are facing. That's it. Okay, so this will be like a mains based question for you guys. So write down the challenges faced by thermal power plants in India. So what you'll do, you'll write about what is this thermal power plants or like what is thermal energy, how we are producing that, and you will be drawing India map and you will be showing some important thermal power plants which are located in our country as a value addition, and you will be keeping heading challenges of thermal power plants, and if you write 4 to 5 points then your work is done, and at last you will be concluding with your conclusion. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. So because of our India's ambition of transition from non-renewable towards renewable energy to achieve our commitments under Paris Climate Deal and as well as net zero by 2070. So here this carbon producing for carbon using or coal using industries to produce electricity, they are facing a lot of challenges. So first one here is thermal power generation in India is significantly contributing to emissions. So how much emissions that we can get by using this thermal energy is approximately 2,794 kgs of emissions. It is happening because of just thermal power. So when we are relying on this coal, it will lead to 59% of India's total energy supply that we are getting from this coal. So that what happens, so more amount of carbon dioxide emission will be released. So it is one cause of concern. So if you want to meet our climate commitments, we can't achieve that without moving out of this coal. And second important point here is, especially some states, they are having good thermal power plants compared to that of other states. For example, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. So they have good thermal power generation. Okay, so they are not taking any compensatory measures. Whenever they are releasing more carbon dioxide emissions, they have to take some steps of absorbing of this carbon dioxide, but they are not doing. So it is one problem now. And especially Maharashtra, which is leading in this non-renewable energy generation capacity, and Rajasthan is excelling in this renewable energy capacity. That means if you're moving from one state to another state, some states are dependent on non-renewable, some states are dependent on renewable. That means there is a lot of diversity within our states we can see. So this is also an important problem. And next important thing that you have to remember is, yes, Central Energy Authority, so Central Electricity Authority came up with a data, and this data says that central sector plays a significant role in thermal power generation. That means here there is lack of political will. So if there is no will from these politicians, can we achieve this target of renewable energy? No. So this is the one important major problem in our country, that is lack of political will. Okay, so that is the thing. If you see that, this is more than enough. And apart from this, there are other two articles in our newspaper. So title says DDoS attack. So you may get this question, so please make a note. So recently DDoS is seen in news. What is it? So DDoS is nothing but it is a malicious attempt to disrupt normal functioning of targeted server or service. It is nothing but it is a malware. They are mainly used to make the website not to work or server not to work. So you may get this question, DDoS is seen in news, what is it? It is a cyber attack. And next, another article, Aravalli Safari Park project. So you may get a question regarding this Aravalli Safari Park because it is the world's largest. So here if you see, it is the world's largest safari park. So Haryana government is coming up with this Aravalli Safari Park project, and where it had been spread in this Gurgaon and as well as new area, okay, which was one of the poll promises of this BJP party. And if it is done, it will be the world's largest safari project. So you may get a question, so which of the following is considered as world's largest safari project? It is nothing but Aravalli Safari. And here Aravalli, it is one important range in our country, and it is the oldest folded mountain. Okay, so you have to see about some facts regarding this Aravallis. So where they are located, in which state they had been extended, and you have to see about highest peak. Highest peak is nothing but Guru Shikhar, and there we will be having a small pass also. You have to see all these geographical dimensions. Okay, so that is the thing. So because whenever we are going for any project, obviously it will be having some negative impacts on environment. So because of this, many people, they are objecting this. Okay, just see about what is Aravalli Safari Park project. So it is your homework, guys. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching, and please do like this class and share this class, and don't forget to subscribe to Rathore Science Academy.